We had a trade yesterday. Terry Rozier leaving Charlotte, the black hole of suck that the team is, been traded to the Miami Heat. What an upgrade. He's traded for Kyle Lowry and a 2027 first round pick. Seth, you're doing like field goal.
No,
did you kick a field goal here?
This is so I have before we like you said mentioned the black hole of Charlotte. Charlotte is, I believe, 10-11 in games that are in the clutch and 0-20 in games that aren't. Their largest win this season has been by 7 points. There hasn't been. I've only gone back to 1970-71, but in that time period, there's never been a team that didn't have at least one double-digit win in a season. So
are they worse than the Pistons secretly?
No, they're 30th in net rating.
They have less talent. I think
they have less talent, but at least they play the talent they have.
A better coach. So
no, to try or for purposes of what they're trying to achieve, maybe they're worse coached. Like they achievement in draft pick equity. Oscar goes to,
that's a fair point. Let's talk about the Kyle Lowry part of this real quick because Rozier is he's going to play in Miami. He's going to be a part of a contender, and Lowry is likely going to be a buyout guy. Unfortunately, the new CBA makes it fairly unlikely he's going to be able to go play for a contender. The new tax rules, they prohibit, signing buyout guys, and that's rough, man. Kyle Lowry, I think, could contribute. I mean, we talked about the Bucks needing a backup point guard. I mean, could he fill in there and help them out? I just don't think he's going to get the opportunity.
They can't sign him. Like Phoenix can't. I think the one team that can is Philadelphia, which is it's from Philadelphia also. So,
could we handle Joel Embiid and Kyle Lowry on the court together at the same time?
That would be a lot of falling down.
I hope he signs in Philly. That would be fun. Yeah. But now let's talk about Terry Rozier part of this. Obviously, Miami, I don't know how they do this. They're always in the mix. He is a huge pickup for them. They've needed some more potent guard play. They need another guy who can score a little bit because that's been one of their big problems this season. And Terry Rozier is a guy. I mean, he's played in the playoffs. He's got experience. I like this fit a lot.
Yeah, I like it for Miami. It makes sense. I mean, just replacing Kyle Lowry, who really wasn't giving you much, hasn't really fit with the team, to be honest, ever since he got there. So, it's an upgrade in that sense. How much of an upgrade is this? Okay, you go from maybe the 6th seed to the 4th seed. I don't know. Here's the thing about Miami. You always have to be afraid of them. Just because the way the organization operates, the way Spo gets the most out of everybody. I'm going to take a shot at Portland. Brace yourselves, guys. I know you just had the ice storm, but here comes some heat. How bad does it look now that they just had no interest in Jaime Jaquez? How bad does that look? Because that dude's a baller.
I don't think they had. I think that the Heat had no interest in trading them Jaime Jaquez.
They could have gotten Jaquez if in that situation. I honestly believe that. And if they really pushed, they didn't even, they would have never known because they didn't fucking engage, but that's a whole other story for another time. But that's a massive miss for them. He's better than anything they got in that trade.
Next on 5 Reasons Sports.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Go
ahead.
But I just think with Miami, that's a great fit, tough guard, everything that he does. The game, I think him and Bam in the second side or DHO actions in the second unit are going to be something to really kind of watch for. At the end of the day, this team's a playoff team, and that means they're a pain in the ass when you have to play them in the playoffs. So I don't know if it makes them puts them up in the contender list or whatever, but I think it puts them in a better position than where they were just for purely upgrading on the fact that Lowry wasn't giving them much. And Lowry has looked washed. Every now and then we'd see flashes, but that was about it.
I think, one way to think about this is Rozier is going to give them the gold-plated version of what they got from Gabe Vincent last year.
Right.
Don't disrespect Gabe Vincent.
No, I'm not disrespecting Gabe Vincent, but Terry Rozier is a similar maybe undersized combo guard, but very physically tough and you know, an athletic.
Well, he fits
and,
Miami spiritually.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Like, yeah, he is a Miami Heat guy.
And you know, low-key has been, you know, has turned himself into a very effective shooter. And you know, we had never hear about him because he's in, you know, the vortex
black hole of
Charlotte.
suck.
Yeah, yeah. So I think no, it's a good pickup for them. Be interesting to see if this kind of, you know, not to look too far ahead, but we are entering trade season. If this sort of sets what I think is a pretty reasonable market for like, you know, players of that level, good but not star players. Like, you know, an expiring in a first is that's not nothing. But Charlotte said I think it's a decent deal for Charlotte. So, you know, in the last couple of years, we've seen teams, you know, step forward. Fred VanVleet, seen teams kind of play themselves by not saying yes to a good offer for players in this kind of situation. And so maybe that helps set the market at a more rational level. And we see some of these, you know, the Malcolm Brogdons and whoever else you want to say are the interesting kind of last piece targets around the league kind of do end up moving towards the deadline.
I mean, I think also the other thing is this is probably the start of a fire sale in Charlotte. They're trying to get more picks. You know, I don't think they'll find a home for Gordon Hayward, but they're going to try. You know, and that's another guy that would probably qualify for an expiring and a first as well. Maybe not a high first, but I think like, you know, there's going to be a lot of stuff circling around them. So it's a good move for Miami. It helps them. I don't know if it makes them any more of a contender than not. I'd still be afraid to play them in the playoffs. You know, like they're just a tough ass team, plain and simple. I mean, this team is built for playoff. Like just ask all the teams they knocked out last year. All of them, you know, like they're a tough team. And I think that's going to be the challenge for them challenge for everybody else going forward is this team got a little tougher.